Great question. How do you correctly cut a piping bag to fit a piping tip? I love to use these silicone reusable piping bags. They're really sturdy. You can wash them over and over again. Sometimes they come with a hole that fits your piping tip really well, like this one does. You may also get a coupler with your piping tips. When you use a coupler, you put the larger piece down inside the piping bag, push it all the way to the end, and then slide the metal piping tip over the top and screw on the smaller piece of the coupler until it's nice and secure. You can then add your frosting into the piping bag, decorate your cake, and if you decide to change out the piping tip, unscrew the coupler, put on the other piping tip, and then just screw the coupler back together. But back to the question of how to cut your piping bag to fit the piping tip, I'm going to use the Ziploc bag to demonstrate because I don't have disposable piping bags, but push your piping tip into the end. Use scissors to mark just below the decorative part of the piping tip, slide the piping tip back, and then trim off the bag where you marked it. Then push the piping tip back through the hole and check to make sure that just the decorative part is sticking out and most of the metal part of the piping tip is still inside the bag. If you're going to use a coupler instead of just the piping tip, you would put the coupler down inside the piping bag, push it all the way to the end, and mark off right below the opening of the coupler. Slide the coupler back and trim off the end of the bag, then push the coupler back down through the hole to make sure it fits correctly. And it's really important that the piping bag still covers the threads or those little bumps you see on the coupler, because once you add the metal tip back on, you're going to screw on the other part of the coupler and it's going to seal the bag between the threads or the little bumps so that none of the frosting will leak out. And if you're wondering whether you could actually use a Ziploc bag like this instead of a piping bag, the answer is yes, you can. And one more thing to note, there are different size piping tips. Some are larger, some are smaller, and if you've cut your piping bags to fit the larger tip and try to use the smaller one, it might be too close to the end of the piping bag, and when you put pressure on it, it will pop out. Let me know if you guys have any more questions on using piping bags. I hope this tutorial helped. Follow for more.